Hey, it's Matt Pinfield, KLOS New and Approved. Really happy to have my friend from Jacksonville, Florida, Rickey Medlocke of Lynyrd Skynyrd and Blackfoot, who it's so great to be catching up with him because I'm a huge fan of his. I love this guy. I've interviewed him numerous times over the years, and I've been a fan since I was, a young teenager when I first discovered, of course, Skynyrd and Blackfoot. It's so great to see you, Rickey. We've been doing this for many a year now, and every time I see your face, I'm like, it's just great. You know what I mean? You light up a room, man. Like, that's the thing about you. I've always loved it. You light up a room. You got that spirit, man, and that rock and roll spirit.
You know what? We have had a history together, Matt, and I was thrilled when I found out that I was doing this today, man. I was like, man, I haven't talked to Matt in so long, so it's really good to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. So, Rickey, I got to tell you, man, I'm really excited. You guys, you've been doing really good things, like just doing that hurricane relief concert that you just did with Marcus King, and he got up and performed with you guys. You said he did.
Yeah, he got up the other night and he played "Call Me the Breeze" with us, and it was great. I mean, we had such a good time having him with us. And you know what, man? All last year and this year, ZZ had been out with us. And Billy Gibbons was coming out every night. Every night he was coming out playing "Call Me the Breeze" with us. And it was fun to have Billy Gibbons out there, on stage with us every night. We had a blast. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Billy's such a great guy, man. He's another legend, like you guys said.
Oh, yeah.
We get to spend time with him here. He's been on the show, and I mean, my girlfriend and I even gave him a ride home. I'm like, Billy, you want to sit up front? He's like, no. He goes, no, man, I'm okay. I'll sit in the back. I'm like, I want to give up my front seat to Billy. You know what I mean? It was funny, but he's the best. I mean,
you haven't lived, man. We last year, Billy and I and a couple of band members, Damon, their bass player, and their road manager, we all got into, would you believe, a pickup truck, a dually pickup truck. And we went to the House of Guitars in Rochester. And we had the best time, Billy and I did, hanging out together like that. I mean, it was one of those moments where we were able to talk music, we were able to talk shop. I mean, talk about everything. Our history of being together, years over the years. And you haven't lived until you've been able to spend a moment of about 4 or 5 hours with Billy Gibbons like that. Yeah. It's amazing.
He's got, right, Rickey? I mean, and you no longer, and we become good friends. I brought him on stage last year for his birthday in L.A. at the Troubadour. And I got to say, his stories are amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I just hear the stories about, him as a kid listening to Border Radio, being the Reverend Willie G, all the cool stuff. Going to see blues players.
And he's got a memory that is unbelievable. His memory is like a trap door.
Yeah.
He can remember everything. In fact, the very first time that Blackfoot opened for ZZ, he remembered this right away. But we had met them guys way back, in the mid-'70s. And Blackfoot opened for them the night that they did the live side of Fandango.
One of the greatest records.
The Warehouse. Yeah, at the Warehouse in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he remembered that. I couldn't believe it. He goes, oh, I remember that night. I remember you guys.
Yeah.
It was killer.
That's amazing. And that side of the album is just like that. It's one of the greatest sides. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Rickey, so let's go back. It's amazing when let's talk about you as a kid. I know your grandfather, right? Shorty Medlocke, right? Curtis Lowe is basically about him, right? I mean, about Curtis Lowe is based on him in a lot of ways.
When I first joined the band in '71 as a drummer,
as Skynyrd, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the formidable members as a drummer back then. Ronnie and the guys would come over to my house And my old man would be on the porch playing.
Yeah.
And, you know, because he was a really incredibly talented man, knew how to play about 6 or 7 stringed instruments, and, you know, just was a well-rounded musician. They would come over and he would sit on the porch and he'd play for us. And he'd play for Ronnie and Gary and Alan. And when it came time, from my understanding, I'd already left the band and went to Blackfoot. But when they wrote Curtis Lowe, my old man rang with him so deeply that he, if you listen to the lyrics, he used to play an old dobro, he used to play it across his knee. Well, that was my old man.
Yeah.
And, you know, he would come and see my old man when they were home off the road and visit with my folks. And you know what, man? I love that about Ronnie. I mean, it was really, that guy, man, had the soul. It was almost like he had the soul of a really old man, except he was in a young body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I mean, I spent some incredible times with him and Alan and Gary, and, you know, days that I won't ever forget. But yeah, it was, my old man was one of the inspirations for that song.
Yeah. Now, so how long was the lineage with your family as far as musicians, right? Because it goes back.
Oh, it goes back a ways.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather, Shorty.
Yeah, Shorty.
He played. My mother was a singer. My biological mother, she was a singer. I have brothers and sisters who were musicians. I had great uncles who were musicians. So on that side of the family, on my mother's side of the family, everybody was musicians, pretty well much. And you know, when I started playing music, I wanted to do something other than just, you know, be, you know, a local musician and play and, you know, do stuff like that. Little did I know, you know, I got with guys in a garage or being a garage band, you never know where it's going to take you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden now I kind of look back on it all. And I think to myself, wow, I've gotten to this point in my life and it seems like a whirlwind. I mean, I can't believe how quick that it spun, and I'm here sitting with you right now.
Yeah, it's
pretty well cool, man, because I'll be 75 this next year, man, in February.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? I still love and have the passion for playing guitar and for entertaining, for being in music, period. I won't ever stop being in music. There's no such thing. I don't understand the word retirement.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like hearing that. I'm like, what do you mean? And do nothing? I want to work in music until I die. I'm like, I love it. You know what I mean? I want to be around, playing music for people and talking about, you know, doing what I do, like you as a musician, right?
Well, you know, everybody asks me about, you know, when are you going to get tired of doing it? I'm like, look, if Keith Richards can do it, Rickey Medlocke can do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
it's amazing,
Oh, man, he's amazing. So I'm like, I'm in it for life. I'm a lifer. You know?
I think it's great, man. You know, when you look back, I remember, you know, when in the early Blackfoot tours and you guys would come through New York, New Jersey, Philly and stuff. And I remember when I finally got to see you guys around the time of Strikes, right? You know, which was... That record really, you know, took off with Highway Song and Train, and it was great. Yeah. For me, that made me really happy because, you know, I like to be that. I was like, I told you so to people that, you know, I love the band. You know, you're turning people onto it, but there were a lot of good people that were liking it. And so at that period of time, Rickey, how was that feeling like overall? You had all your friends that had been in different bands, and you saw that there was success happening at that period of time. Of course, sadly, we had lost Ronnie, you know, like shortly before that in '77. But was it good to see it really? Did you? I mean, you guys. I always heard you would say, and I know that Gary would say sometimes, like, this is rock and roll. I mean, we're Southern, but it's rock. That's what we are. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was the
Oh
thing.
yeah. You know what? I'll tell you something, Matt. After being in Skynyrd the first time and opting out to go back and to do singing and playing guitar, there was something special about the band, and you just knew that they were going to end up doing something really phenomenal. My old man told me when I went to leave, he said, look, he said, there's something about that band and especially that singer. He said, especially Ronnie, that they're going to end up doing something really unbelievably big. And he goes, if you don't ever achieve it, you're going to look back and question yourself. He said, you're going to live with it, you know? And I told him, I said, look, I know that, but I believe in myself, and I believe that I'm going to end up doing something, you know, phenomenal. And so when I opted out, the guys made it right after I left. I mean, they cut the Pronounce record, and boom, it came out, and they were off and running in 73. I had just left. So then the next thing you know, it took me about 4 years, and we got with Atlantic Records. And the next thing you know, we cut strikes, it comes out, boom, platinum record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know what, man? I worked very hard at achieving what we did. Blackfoot worked very hard. And you know what? We had a great run of it, man. I mean, our run was about, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. And then it all came down, of course. But you know something, man? I kept the band going. And finally, in 95, I get invited to Freebird, the movie premiere, you know, by Judy Van Zandt. I go to Atlanta, and there's Gary and Johnny and Billy, Leon, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it was like an old home week. And I saw the guys, hadn't seen them in years. And so what happened was we did a jam the night before the premiere at the Fox Theater. And they asked me, did I want to play some songs? And I said, yeah. So the backup band, we worked up Train, of course. And I got up and sang I Ain't the One with Johnny.
One of the best.
And so,
yeah.
So what happened was we finished Train, and I went to walk off. And as I'm walking off, Charlie Daniels stopped me. And he says, Rickey, why don't you do one more song? He said, the audience is going to just love it. And I said, well, the band hadn't worked on anything else. He goes, well, just do something. So I saw an acoustic guitar sitting there off to the side. And I said, can I use this acoustic? And they said, yeah, go ahead. So I picked it up and put it on. And Charlie Daniels walked out and he said, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you welcome again Rickey Medlocke? And the Fox Theater, they just stood up. Well, at that time, my manager and Skynyrd's manager was standing there along with Gary and Johnny, Billy, and Leon. And they were standing there watching all this. And their manager said to my manager, you know, Gary has been talking about wanting to get Rickey back in the band for several years. And so about that time, I went into Highway Song.
Yeah.
And I played Highway Song acoustically right by myself.
That's awesome.
So I finished the song. The audience, they were just great. And their manager told my manager, they said, look, we got to make this happen. So that was in December. The first in January rolled around. I hadn't heard from Gary. February rolled around, hadn't heard from him. I thought to myself, well, maybe they, had a change of heart. They changed their mind. Right after the 1st of March, I'm at my studio here in Fort Myers, and you know how you used to call the phones and get the old answering machines, you know,
Yeah.
and you'd on the tape and you'd listen to your messages. Well, there was a message, and the message said, "Hey, Brother Rickey, it's Gary. I want you to learn I Ain't the One, Saturday Night, That Smell, and Freebird. And I want you to do it the way that I know that you can, the way Alan played it,
Yeah.
those songs." And I went, wow, you know, he goes, "And I'm going to come down in a week. I'll figure it out. And I'm going to audition you." And he said, he goes, I'll audition you. And if you pass the audition, I'll give you $1.50 in a Snickers bar and put you back in the band. And he actually said that.
That's unreal. Yeah.
So I got back in the band, and about 5 or 6 years after that, Matt, we finished a show one night, and we got up on the bus, and on the counter in the galley was $1.50 wrapped around a Snickers bar, and, and a note, and a note that says "paid in full."
That's the greatest, man. That is such a great story, and the relationship you know, like the closeness with you and Gary.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I thought it. You know, I was obviously, I was very saddened by the loss of Gary, but and I always think about, you know, interviews I've done with the two of you together that are great, man. I just enjoyed them so much, you know. Yeah. So, but I'm glad you guys. It's so good to have you guys continuing on, because that's what everybody would have wanted, Gary. I mean, it's weird. Let's talk about the impact of the music. I mean, the Skynyrd music that you're doing. It's like you said, 8 to 85. You'll see that audience. It is an American institution. You know what I mean? It's the music will it never gets old. It never dies. It's like Creedence. You know what I mean? It's like the stuff that people. It's just a part of the fabric of America and music. What do you think about all of the way that it's just always connected with people?
I think that Ronnie had a very unbelievable and uncanny way of writing lyrics that every person in every way, walk of life, no matter what they did, they could be one of the most wealthy businessmen, or they could be a guy that mows lawns for a living, or they could be whatever. I believe that every man and woman in all walks of life could relate to those songs. He had the most unbelievable way of putting stuff into words. And I always called him the original Southern poet.
Yeah.
I really did. It's so weird. Like I was just saying to you, Matt, he was an old soul in a young body. For a guy to be in his mid, 20s or whatever, to write those lyrics and to be able to understand the street the way Ronnie did was just was uncanny. And here's the cool part. From early, 71 through right at 73, at the end of 72, going into 73, I was there playing drums. And I was there when a lot of that stuff was written and put together. And it was magical. It really was. I never even thought twice about going to rehearsal. I used to love it. I mean, it was just all about music. And we had such an incredible camaraderie together and such a great time. And it was great because I remember one time we were going to a gig up in, I think, either Atlanta or Nashville, whatever. And we would ride in the back. Was so dangerous. But we would ride in the back of the equipment truck. We had this we called it Old Blue. And it was a great big box truck. All the equipment was up in the front. it's a wonder an amp head hadn't have bounced off and hit us in the head or something, you know. But I remember laying on these mattresses, and we would crack the door and look down the highway.
Yeah.
And I remember us laying there, and I remember Ronnie, I'll never forget it. I remember him looking over at me one night. We're riding down there, and he goes, "You know what, Ricky?" He goes, "One of these days, we ain't going to have to do this. We'll have it made in the shade." And my old man used to say that to us when they would come over. He would tell Ronnie and Gary and Alan and me, "You boys keep doing this the way you're doing it, and one of these days you'll have it made in the shade." Well, wouldn't you know it, the Nothing Fancy record comes out. And I mean, I've already left the band. Nothing Fancy comes out. Ronnie had dedicated that whole record to my old man. And he wrote the song Made in the Shade and dedicated the song to Shorty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just spent some incredible, magical times, all of us together, you know?
Yeah, man, I just imagined you guys, you know, knowing Jacksonville the way that I do because I have so much family there, you know, and family that's from there. You know, I was born in Georgia. But we, you know, I always have these, I just kind of imagine what it was like when you guys were coming up. You know what I mean? Because
oh man,
you know, and it's just it must have been. I mean, what a great time though. But I love the fact that, you know, the stories are amazing. You know, that Ronnie was wanted to play baseball and at one point too, and then the Beatles changed that, right? I mean, you know.
Well, you know, this is so incredible. I mean, Matt, growing up, I was always around music because my dad, he had bands and he played on the road with a lot of your older Nashville guys. He was a road guy for a lot of them. And so I grew up in a music family, started playing at a very, very, very young age. And, you know, it's interesting because I got to see a lot of people that would come through Jacksonville that you wouldn't believe. And one of the times was my dad was able to get tickets from this lady named Mae Axton, who was Hoyt Axton's aunt.
Yeah, Hoyt Axton's a great songwriter, man. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah. And here's the cool thing. She had been downtown Jacksonville at the Roosevelt Hotel that day, her and a guy named Tommy Durden. And they had written a song, and they got in to see Elvis and play him the song. And he agreed to do it, and he made certain stipulations about it, you know, to do it. But they went away from the hotel, and they had 4 tickets to see him.
Wow.
And May, who used to babysit me every once in a while, and it was right before my 7th birthday in February. I was still 6. She gave my mom and dad 3 tickets, and I went to see Elvis at the Florida Theater that night.
Wow.
So, and the song that she took to Elvis was Heartbreak Hotel.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I saw the Beatles when they came to Jacksonville in 1964 after a major hurricane, Hurricane Dora.
Yeah.
And me and my boyhood buddy, Greg Walker, who ended up playing bass in Blackfoot, we went to the Gator Bowl and we saw the Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been great too, you know?
And we saw them. You couldn't hear them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, every time they would introduce a song, they go, "Well, we're going to do this song." And they'd say the song, they'd start it, the girls would scream all the way through the song, and then they'd quit and they go, "Thank you." You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's amazing when you hear tapes of those guys live, it actually sounds in tune because they couldn't hear themselves either. You know? It's incredible, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, eventually they got tired of touring because they couldn't hear themselves, but you know, that's an amazing story. And there were bands like from Jacksonville. There was always music coming out, like Classics 4. Classics 4 were back in the 60s, right? Those guys had hits like Spooky and Stormy and all that, you know, and you know, there was a lot. Go ahead.
It was so weird, man, because we got to play all around Jacksonville, of course. We played a lot. And we got to open for, let me tell you, one time Mountain came through Jacksonville and we opened for them. You know, we opened for Mountain.
That's great.
We opened for none other than Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, there's a great band people don't appreciate and know enough about.
Wishbone Ash and Cactus was together, and we opened for them down at the Jacksonville Baseball Park.
Yeah.
We opened for Rod Stewart and the Faces at the Coliseum. I mean, we got to play with some incredible bands back then, you know. And I don't know, man. I look back on it now, man, and I smile a lot about it because I was having so much fun. And you know what? I'm still having fun, Matt. It's
the greatest. Hey, I got to ask you on a Blackfoot live album. I love that you guys did "Wishing Well." "Wishing Well" by Free. I mean, I'm a huge Free fan and big, Paul Rogers and Bad Company.
Yes.
I mean, that guy's, and what a great band. And Paul Kossoff, who played in that band, and so tell me about doing that song because I was so excited when I found out,
Well, the thing is that I ended up being such, so did Ronnie and so did Gary. Gary was just a huge Paul Kossoff fan.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people recognize it, that Gary got a lot of his style from Paul Kossoff, you know? Well, I ended up being such a Paul Rogers fanatic. And it was such a thrill later on in years that, we've become very good friends. And when we were cutting the Strikes record, we were already doing Wishing Well anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what? Record label thought that it would be a great idea. Doug Morris, that ran Atlantic.
Yeah, and Atco too, right? Yeah, it was all there.
Yeah. And him and Reen Nally, they thought that it was a great idea to do that and to do the old Spirit tune, Got a Line on You.
Yeah, which is so great. And by the way, you had a band called Fresh Garbage for a while, right? You were there. That's it.
You got it.
Yeah. See, because I love that Randy California. Like that Spirit stuff's great.
Man.
You know? But I love that you had a band called that when you were young. You were like, right?
We were looking for a name, and it was like we loved Spirit, and I don't even know who suggested it, but we said, hey, let's call the band Fresh Garbage,
This is great.
And it was great, man. Even back then, it was like the formidable days of punk music or something,
Yeah.
And so we ended up calling the band that, and it stuck. And
that's great.
It was pretty funny.
That is funny. It's great. And I Got a Line on You. What a single, right, from those guys when that came out. And, obviously.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. But that's how we ended up doing Wishing Well. And it was great because later on, when I got to be friends with Paul, it was funny, man. He goes, thanks for doing Wishing Well, man. I enjoyed the money.
That's so funny. Yeah, man, he's up in Canada now. He's doing good. He's feeling better. He's killing it. I love Paul.
Yeah.
What a great.
I love him.
Yeah, I love him too, man. And that's another one of those things. I scratch my head going, Paul Rogers ain't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know what the hell that's all about. I'm like,
dude, you got me on that one.
Yeah,
really.
I'm like Paul. I just like Paul. All I gotta say is Paul Rogers, right? Free Bad Company, right? And I'm like, you're not a Rock and Roll Fame. Like, was somebody over there missing? I mean, they're like one of the greatest singers of all time. One of the greatest white blues soul, singers, man.
Oh, I know, bro. Believe me, I know.
Yeah. So it's like you and I feel that way. You know what I mean? So, and it's funny. Even before he put on the the new album that he did, I reached out to him because I was like, I got to get Paul on the show, just because I'm such a fan of all the music, you know. But I love that you doing the spirit stuff. That was cool. How was that relationship in those days with Atlantic Atco? Was it a good time?
Oh, man, you know what, man, we had a good relationship at first.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like any business dealing. And we were killing it. I mean, we were selling so many records, and the band was touring its butt off. I mean, we toured between the release of the Strikes record. We went on the road, and the first band that we went on the road with was Journey. And we spent 6 weeks with them. Then all of a sudden we were out with Ted Nugent. We spent 2 months with him. Then we went out with AC/DC, the Back in Black record. We spent about 2.5 months with them. I mean, we were out with Foreigner. We were out with, I'm telling you, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? So we had this relationship because we were selling good. We were playing a lot. We spent 22 out of 24 months on the road. I mean,
yeah,
it was that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We went to Europe. We busted Europe wide open. We played the Donington Festival, which broke the band over there. And we were off and running.
That's great.
So, yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah, Donington was, and that was such an incredible festival. They changed the name now, of course, but it's but it's classic. You know, there were so many good things. But yeah, I love that, and I'd always wanted to ask you about the Wishing Wells thing, so I finally did. It's funny because we've talked to you many times. I'm like, man, I never asked him about Wishing Well. You know, like I always want to talk. You know,
it was like one of my favorite all-time free songs.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it at home on record, and I would play it all the time. And I swore up and down one day, I went, man, you know, one of these days, if I make a record, if we do it, let's play Wishing Well. You know?
Yeah.
We got our chance to do it. There it is.
Yeah, it was great. Hey, so So Damon Johnson is a guy that I got a lot of love for. Incredible player, incredible human being. He's joined the band. Let's talk about Damon and your relationship with him, because I met him in Brother Kane, and he was just one of the, coolest guys ever. I went down to do an album special with him in Alabama, and we realized he said something. I'm like, that's a Thin Lizzy quote. We both love Thin Lizzy. So we were just talking about those records. He ended up being in Thin Lizzy with Rickey, with Scott Gorham and those guys, and playing live. And then he did a band with them called Black Star Riders after Brother Kane. But obviously Skynyrd was another band that came up between me and him. So talk to me about how that all came down.
Well, here's what happened. Well, I met Damon back right when they did, and Damon will tell you it was so funny. Damon had been such a Skynyrd, Blackfoot, fanatic.
Yeah.
And so right as the Brother Kane record came out, they came to Texas to do a couple of shows. And they found out that they were going to be opening for Blackfoot.
That's great.
And Damon was just like, oh my God, So me and the guitar player, I'm out by the pool. And I'm laying by the pool, man, and they pull up in their van. And one of the guys in the band goes, Damon, if I'm not mistaken, there lays Rickey Medlocke right there. And Damon went, oh my God, I got to go say hey.
Yeah.
He gets out of their van. He comes over, and I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I feel this blockage of sun, And I look up, and he said something like, you don't know me, but I'm Damon Johnson from Brother Kane, man. I had to come over and say hello to you. And you know what, man? We struck up a friendship from that day forward. And I stayed in touch with him. He had my phone number, which he couldn't believe that I gave him my phone number, and I gave it to him, and he would call me. I would call him. So fast forward, when Gary decided that he couldn't make it on the road. And he was like, he was getting weak, and his heart was really, really taking its toll on him. He came to Johnny and I, and he told, he said, I don't think I'm going to be able to make the tour this year. He said, I just, I can't do it. So Johnny calls me up, and Johnny says, Rickey, do you know anybody that could come in and cover what, Gary plays? Play it note for note, exactly, and even, cop his tone and so forth and so on. I said, well, Johnny, I know two guys, but one guy especially. And I said, I don't think he's doing anything right now. And he goes, who's that? And I went, Damon Johnson. He goes, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of Damon? He goes, do you have his number? And I said, yes, I do. He said, give him a call and let's see what's going on with him. I said, all right. So I called Damon and I get him on the phone and I said, Damon, Rickey Medlocke here. He goes, hey, bro, how's it going? I went, it's going good. I said, I need to talk to you. And I went through the whole thing that Gary couldn't make it. And, I said, Damon, we need somebody to come in and cover this tour this year. Do you think you could do it? I said, just play the notes, play everything that Gary played. He goes, you know what? I can do that. He said, I've been a Skynyrd fanatic all my life. He goes, let me start woodshedding the stuff and I'll get it down and I'll be ready. Well, let me tell you what, bro. We went to Nashville to rehearse, and 3 days we were rehearsing. The first day, Damon, he had some bumps in the road with rehearsal. The next day, whoa, everything, it was the new and improved. Then the next day, we were off and firing. And ever since then, bro, it's been so good. And Gary came in and he gave his graces to Damon. And, it was really good to see Gary shake Damon's hand and hug him and left it in his hands. And so Gary, after that, would come out every once in a while and play Alabama and Freebird with us. And he would insist that Damon stay on stage and play. So the culmination of everything, we did the show, the Live at the Ryman Theater show, and what would become Gary's, final show. And he insisted that Damon stay on the stage and play while he was playing. And I got to tell you, man, it hit me really hard. It's still hard for me to think about every once in a while when I'm talking about it. Yeah. I miss the guy. I miss, I look over and I love Damon being there, but sometimes I look over and I can almost, honestly, I can see Gary standing there. And, we do a big tribute to Gary, to Tuesday's Gone up on the video wall. And we got a beautiful film that runs of him. And it took me over a year to even be able to look at it.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And everything is still raw to me.
I understand.
You know what I mean? But I got to tell you, man, I was gifted. This is so cool. I was gifted being able, Matt, in my life, to stand on the stage and play with some of the most incredible musicians in my life. It's been an unbelievable gift to me. And you know what? That's something that, you can't take away no matter what, in my heart. And here recently, Dale and Mary, his daughter, Dale, his widow, who sang with Skynyrd forever. But they recently gifted me with one of Gary's Les Pauls.
Wow.
And
That's
one
amazing.
that he used all the time on stage. And man, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I've got it put away up in my studio out here, and I'm going to put it on a special hanger under lights, and a picture of me and Gary playing together where he's using it, and it's just what a great thing for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that they gave that to you.
Yeah.
It's there's so much joy and companionship in music and love. It's just like nothing feels better than that. There's no greater feeling than that. That's it. I always say two most important things are people in your life you love and music. You know what I mean? Those are like, at least for me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh, big time, bro. I mean, you think about it, Matt. I mean, you and I are sitting here today, and we're talking after all these years.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through all these years, Matt. We've known each other all this time.
Yeah.
And music is what brought us together as friends.
Yes.
And that is unbelievable to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just love that about music, about how it can bring people together and heal. It's very healing. It can heal anything.
Yes.
And I wish other people could discover that in this world.
Yeah.
We might be a lot better off than we are, Matt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think, people could come together. Music unites people. It makes people feel good and nice. And it gets you through all times. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's it's the most beautiful thing about it. You know what I mean?
Buddy.
But I got to tell you, I got to say hi to Johnny for me, too. Man, I haven't seen Johnny, but I love him. And I'll come see you guys next time you guys are out this way.
Please do, man.
Definitely. Or if I'm down there in Jax or Fort Myers. I love that you're in that area, and Donnie's doing good too. Everybody in the family over there.
You know what? Donnie's doing really well, man. I mean, he had problems here quite a few years ago with his hearing, and had to drop out of playing live and stuff. But you know what? Last time I saw Donnie, man, it was so great because me, him, and Johnny were able to hang around and laugh together and tell stories, and I mean, it just great,
Yeah, Donnie's a good man too, and I remember, when once there was some stuff with his heart and then the hearing, but I'm glad to hear that he's doing good because
he's doing really
guys,
good,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the guys, and I gotta say, this is Rickey. I'm so glad you did this and took the time before the holidays to come and and do the show with us. And
you bet, man. You bet.
I
just I really appreciate it, you having me. And wanted to pass on, I've here recently, I put together a side band. I wanted to go out and play shows and when Skynyrd's off the road because it's not good for Rickey Medlocke to get bored.
Yeah.
And
I understand what that's about, believe me.
So I put together a side band and we started writing stuff and music. And this year in January, we put a song out called "Never Run Out of Road."
Yeah, which is a great title, by the way. I loved. when I saw that, I was like, and listened to it, I was like, that's a great name for a song.
Oh
man.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then recently, about 3 weeks ago, we put out another song called "Rise Again." And really, one of the big things for me was because I am, almost, like 2/3, 3/4 Native American. And what we ended up doing was we ended up doing this thing through a label called Rock the Cause. And what it is, we donate a lot of the proceeds from downloads and merchandise and all that stuff gets donated to the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center for the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement. And I would urge everybody to go on there, check it out. You can go to my website, which is RickeyMedlocke.com.
Yeah, and we're playing the song. We're gonna, that. So we're
man. Yeah. And I and thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what, man? I'm very proud of being able to help out in a situation that's been going on far too long in this country. Native American women, older women, middle-aged women, young girls, they disappear at an alarming rate,
Yeah,
never to be seen again.
It's crazy.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yes. So, coupled with that organization, I love that, the NWIRC. I love that organization, and I would urge everybody, please check into it, and donate if you can, and buy the merchandise. I mean, there's merchandise on my website, and there's other places you can buy merch through that. So I urge everybody to check it out.
I think it's great, man, and we're promoting during the show and everything else. We'll be promoting it, playing songs, and I want to talk to you about Ricky. When did you? Before we leave, speaking of the Native American side of you, I've talked to just quite a few people in rock and roll that I've gotten to know that have Native American heritage and background, And tell me how old were you when you knew that and discovered it? Did you?
Well, my grandparents. See, my biological mother, she gave birth to me, and her mother was full Cherokee Creek.
Yeah.
And then she had my mother, when she was a very young girl, 15, had a fling with my biological dad, who was full Native, Lakota. And thus, here I am.
Yeah.
I came into the world, but you know what? My grandparents, Shorty and Nita, they legally adopted me when I was like 3 months old, and because my mother, just too young, could not take care of me, and so they took over the reins, and you know what? They never ever tried to hide the fact of what I was. Where I came from and who my folks was, and the bloodline, and the whole bit.
I think it's great.
I grew up knowing from the time I was 8, 9, 10 years old, that I was part Native, and you know what? I'm very proud of that. I feel very proud that that I've got a bloodline that runs very deep, and many generations ago.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
You know what, man? But you know what? I've been very outspoken about a lot of things about Native rights, and will continue to be. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think we all need to listen up and look at each other and love one another. You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree with you, man. 100%. There's too much.
Yep.
Again, I always say that. I said, too much divisive, and for what? You know what I mean? We're only on this planet so long. You know what I mean? Let's love each other and care about each other and enjoy the time we have. You know what I mean?
Hell yes,
and support
man.
each
Hell
other.
Yes.
And support each other, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what, man? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what walk of life that you are.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
it's kind of person you are, right?
You know something, Matt? I've never seen a hearse hauling a U-Haul. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It's the greatest line.
So, no matter what you're doing, how much you got,
Yeah.
you just, the day they lay you down there,
Yeah.
you are the same as me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%. That's great. Oh, I love that line. Ricky, that's one of the best. It's just so good. I've never heard that before, but I'm going to share that because it's brilliant.
Do it.
It's true. Oh, Ricky, man, this was great. I was so glad you got to come and do this, and I want to, tell everybody, please go to Ricky's website, too, and check out and download new songs, check out some of the merch, and support, because it's really important. It really is. We got,
you got it.
Our heritage, and it's amazing. And I love that again, your family, they gave you a lot of things. They gave you that pride and also that love of music, man. It came from
Oh, yeah.
You know, which is the best. And here we are,
Oh,
Ricky.
yeah.
We're still rocking, and we got to keep it
You
going.
got it, Matt.
You know what I mean? Which is great. So, Ricky, I'll see you soon. Absolutely, right? And I'll,
Yes.
yeah, I'll stay in touch because I definitely want to. If you're going to be doing any shows in any of the areas I am with the other band, I'll come support, man. I'll come see you play.
Please do,
Yeah.
man.
Okay,
Please do.
I will definitely. But I just it's been such a pleasure as it always is. You know what I mean? I want you to know.
You got it, Matt. Yeah, man, and love you, brother.
I got nothing but love for you. You know it, Ricky. You're the best. I mean, like I said, every time I see you, I'm like, it puts me in a good mood. You know what I mean? Like I'm always in a good mood when I see you. I mean, I mean, it's just that spirit, man. You know.
You got it.
And I love that.
Bet.
So
You bet.
All right, Ricky. So I'll see you soon. All right, and take care. Have a great
You got
Christmas,
it, brother.
great
Take good
holiday.
care.
All right.
You bet.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much, Rickey Medlocke. Everybody, you know him from Skynyrd. You know him from Blackfoot, and these new tracks are great, actually, too. Thanks so much for watching us and listening. It's Matt Pinfield. This is KLOS. I'll see you next time.